Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be in the world. It's my pleasure to be able to present to you. I am Dr. Leslie Marshall. I'm the director of the SFPE Foundation, and want to thank Brian Klein and the team at Thunderhead Engineering for the opportunity to present today on behalf of SFPE and the SFPE Foundation to provide an overview of the research and programs that we have at the foundation and share a little bit more information about SFPE. For those of you who aren't familiar, I will touch on the Society of Fire Protection Engineers a bit and then talk much more at length about the foundation and the research work that we support, the ways that you can benefit from the support that we offer, the ways that you can engage with us, participate in some of the programs and initiatives that we have, and learn more about the ways that we want to support work, like the work that's being done by many of you in the audience and the other presenters who are participating in the conference this year. So a little background for those of you who are not familiar with the Society of Fire Protection Engineers. It's headquartered near Washington, D.C. in the United States, as well as has headquarters for SFPE Europe in Brussels in Belgium. And it's the world's leading professional society for fire protection and fire safety engineering professionals. We have more than 4,800 members around the world and more than 120 SFPE chapters. So there may be a local chapter that you're affiliated with, and if not, maybe it'd be worth your time to visit our website at sfpe.org and find out if there's an SFPE chapter that's local to you, including there are some SFPE student chapters out there as well. So if you're a student in the audience, see if your university has one if you're not already participating. So at SFPE, with that membership base, SFPE, the society side of the organization, offers a number of different opportunities for members and non-members, but there are many, many benefits associated with SFPE membership. So I do encourage you to check out the SFPE website and learn more about those opportunities and those benefits. But SFPE as an organization also produces a number of technical standards and guides, accredited guides and standards, events, education, including live virtual education, on-demand virtual education, and in-person education opportunities, all available through the SFPE website. In addition to publishing a number of periodicals, so the Fire Protection Engineering magazine, the Fire Technology Journal, which is published in partnership with Springer, and a number of new digital news briefs to keep everyone up to date on all of the activities that are happening in the field around the world, in particular, that are offered through the society. If you are seeking career resources, SFPE's website also has an entire section devoted to those career resources, whether you are a student who wants to learn more about opportunities in the field for fire protection engineers or fire engineering professionals more broadly. If you're looking for new opportunities, or if you're an employer who has a position that you're trying to fill and you'd like to get that in front of as many qualified individuals as possible, I encourage you to check out SFPE's website for more information in each of those different categories. And then just to take a moment here to go ahead and highlight a couple examples of, speaking back to that previous slide. So I mentioned we do host a number of events, in-person events, including coming up in October, the SFPE annual conference and expo will be in Detroit, Michigan in the United States, October 12th to 14th. And early next year, in March 2023, the SFPE European Conference will take place in Berlin, Germany. So that may be a particular interest to many of you who are joining this conference today in the Czech Republic. So I encourage you to visit out the website and check that out. We offer a number, as I mentioned, of education opportunities. So if you're looking for continuing professional development or professional development hours, there are webinars, there are in-person seminars. Often those seminars take place around conferences, but not always. So check out the website if there are more ways that you're looking to perhaps develop a new skill set, learn more about a particular area. There are many different options available. And I mentioned previously that standards and guides are a big part of what SFPE produces. And a recent second edition of Fire Safety for Very Tall Buildings engineering guide was published with Springer. And that guide does contain some information that may be of particular interest to folks in this audience. There's information there on egress, for example, in very tall buildings. So if you have not already checked out that new edition, I encourage you to do so. And so that's many more activities that you can find on the SFPE website, and reasons to get involved and ways to get involved. And SFPE is very proud to be a co-sponsor of the FEMTC conference. So very glad to be able to share that information with this audience. And now I want to transition a bit to talk more specifically about the SFPE Foundation. So the foundation is affiliated with SFPE, but we do have a separate mission and vision statement. We have a separate board of governors, so we are affiliated with the Society of Fire Protection Engineers. We work very closely with SFPE in many ways that'll become evident in the rest of this presentation. But we also have a sort of different set of things that we're particularly interested in, given that our mission is a separate nonprofit organization, is to enhance the scientific understanding of fire and its interaction with the natural and built environments. It's a pretty broad mission, but we tend to do that in a number of ways. We tend to facilitate research in the development of engineering methods, particularly innovative engineering methods, or in new areas as the field looks to expand and grow with a lot of new technologies and so forth. And we support education in a number of different ways for that next generation of fire protection engineers, and for folks who are perhaps mid-career towards latter stages of your career, but looking to develop new skills or understand new aspects of the field. We're keen to support in many different ways. So at the foundation, we rely very heavily on donations from individuals, from corporations, from SFPE chapters. I mentioned there are more than 120 SFPE chapters around the world, individual giving, endowments, and so on. We also pursue grants, so we write proposals to seek grant funding to support research and other kinds of initiatives, and we seek out additional partnerships and affiliations to help support the work that we do in service of our mission. And that work, in many ways, we are guided by the SFPE membership, by the SFPE Research Roadmap. So the Research Roadmap was a document created about 5 to 6 years ago by a group of folks who were SFPE members. And they came together to try and understand, where are the research needs for the profession. So if we think about fire safety or fire engineering broadly, where are the places where there are gaps when it comes to research, whether that's data, whether that's to do with innovative technology or new materials, or with design tools, or with risk or probabilistic approaches. Where are those gaps, and identify those gaps? And you can access the full research roadmap document on the SFPE website, but that document has really guided a lot of our funding choices as an organization at the foundation. So the foundation both seeks grant funding to support research projects, and we use the resources that we are able to raise on the fundraising side to support research projects. And much of our research projects, the ones that we choose to fund, are based on where are those gaps that have been identified by the community in the research roadmap. We also seek out cross-sectoral collaborations to be able to address some of those gaps. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the new initiative section shortly. But as I mentioned, we are a grant-making organization. So as a grant-making organization, one of the biggest areas of impact that we have is on the research side. So first category of research projects that we fund are what we think of as our large research projects. These are often projects that involve professional consultants or academic researchers or teams that consists of both types. And these projects tend to range from about $20,000 to $40,000 US at the moment, with most projects receiving $30,000 in funding. We hope to grow the size of those projects as the foundation grows and is able to amass more resources to be able to put out to support bigger projects. And in this category of projects, we typically solicit through an RFP process, or a request for proposals process, where we will put a request for proposals up on our website with a due date and solicit responses. Sometimes those requests are very specific, and sometimes they're quite broad. They may invite proposals from someone doing something that's addressing a research gap in the roadmap in anywhere in the human behavior thread, or anywhere in the resilience and sustainability thread, or anywhere in the building fires thread. But sometimes they're much more specific and looking for something specific. But we've funded a number of projects, and in 2020, 2021, we had several projects, and I just selected a couple that I wanted to share with this audience that we funded in those years, given the interest in fire and evacuation modeling. We had a team from York University, and I know Professor John Gales is also participating in this conference, and he was part of a team along with some folks from Arup who were doing work related to anthropometric data and movement speeds that we funded. And then another team from Lund University in Sweden, which I know there's some folks presenting as well. Professor Enrico Ranki is part of this conference, and we've also been very happy to support some research that's come out of that department, also related to walking speeds and demographic changes in society. That's really important work, and particularly for this audience. So I want to give a sense of the types of projects that we funded. For those of you who may be looking for research funding to support the work that you're doing, would encourage you to look out for those requests for proposals at the foundation in case there's something that fits a project that you're doing. This year, the two projects that we've that funded in the last year that we'll be finishing, one is just completed and one will be finishing up in just about a month. First of those projects, water supplies and climate change, the impact of water stress on fire protection systems. And the second project, environmental and health impacts of fire and fire suppression activities during large-scale fire events. I want to point out here that you can see that RR threads. We are funding projects across all of those different threads of the research roadmap. So some of the previous projects I showed were on the human behavior side, and we see some different topics that are being called out with these projects where we're trying to adjust those gaps. And want to also flag that we have researchers that we support from universities in the US, from universities outside of the US. The previous projects, previous slide, Canada and Lund were represented in Sweden. And then here you can also see there's a mixture of consulting organizations or consulting companies that may receive funding, as well as academic institutions or academics. We will be announcing 2 additional large grant recipients by the end of 2022, so please look out for those announcements shortly. Cannot quite share them with the audience just yet, but we're very excited about a couple other projects that will be starting this year. The next category of research funding I want to share with you all, if there are any students in the audience or folks who work with students, whether you're an academic or you know a student, whether they're at the grad or undergrad level, we have a student research grant program at the foundation that we it's a tremendous program. We've been very fortunate to be able to fund a number of students doing some really outstanding work. Each year we fund between 6 and 8 projects. Each awardee receives $5,000 US to support their project, which has to be related in some way to fire protection or fire safety engineering. And we solicit for applications in 2 cycles each year. So earlier this year, we had a set of applications due May 1st, and we selected 4 recipients as part of that award cycle. So we expect to award 4 more grants as part of the November cycle. So if you are a student participating in the conference today and you have a project proposal in mind that you need funding for, really strongly encourage you to apply. We support students from all over the world. As you can see, the folks who received applications in May came from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from South Africa, and from Hong Kong. And you can see as well on your screen the titles of the projects, a really wide-ranging set of projects that we fund as part of this initiative. All of those projects are addressing some gap in that research roadmap that I mentioned earlier, the SFP research roadmap. So that's the common thread, but we really like to see outstanding proposals in a wide range of areas and from folks from all over. So please do check that out and share it with folks in your network. And so one thing that we are really keen on doing right now at the foundation is making sure that after we fund these projects, after we put out research funding, whether that's through a large RFP or through a student research project, we want to make sure that we're capturing the impact of that funding, not just that the funding went out the door, but what was the project that came out of it? What were the key takeaways? What were the results of being able to fund those projects? And so we've created a new page on our website. We'll continue to evolve this page to make it more user-friendly, but for now, if you go to our website and click on the drop-down menu there under Research, you'll find Research Impact. And if you open up that Research Impact page, We have gone through all of the research projects that we've funded since 2020 and mapped all of them back to the threads of the research roadmap that they speak to, and included links to published reports that came out of those projects, to journal articles, to blog posts, to other kinds of reports, to webinars, to any other sort of publicly available content that you can read or access that's relevant to that project. And we've also summarized the key takeaways from each project. So we're wanting to do more to make the research that we funded more accessible, to disseminate those results more broadly, and to make that impact really clear for practitioners, for folks in the research field, and to really bring more attention and awareness to the innovative work that's being done by the folks who receive funding. One example, sometimes a relatively small amount of funding can have a really outsized impact, and that's something that we get really excited about at the foundation, is how we can really best use the resources that we are responsible for stewarding. And one example that I want to share with you all is we had a 2020 student research grant winner. So with $5,000 US, they were able to fund a project that turned into 4 peer-reviewed journal article publications, and contributed to addressing gaps in 4 different areas of the research roadmap. So that's a pretty exciting amount of impact, and you can read about the key takeaways from those papers and those projects, and how that's really building out an entirely new space within the field from that funding. So the more projects, the bigger projects that we can fund, the more impact we can have as an organization. So we're really excited to share that, but also want to encourage you all to please do apply for that funding, to send folks our way who have exciting projects. We really do want to support them, and also support getting that information out there. In addition, one of the other ways that we have launched recently to get more information out there and to support the broader community of folks working in the fire engineering space is by launching a new webinar series, the Research in Fire Engineering webinar series. If you're familiar with SFPE's online learning opportunities, online seminars and webinars, this is a new webinar series that's available through the same platform, through the SFPE platform. You can access it there if you're familiar already, or you can go to our website, the SFPE Foundation website, click on the Education tab at the top of our page, and navigate to the Research in Fire Engineering webinar series, where you can access open access presentations. These are open access research presentations. They are free to view. You do not have to be an SFPE member to access them, and you can earn free PDH credits. So if you're looking for professional development hours or continuing professional educational credits, we can offer those through this webinar series, so it's more accessible for a wider audience. It's also a way that we can disseminate new innovative research that we've funded at the foundation. So most of the presentations that are available in this series are either foundation-funded projects, or they're research projects recently completed by a member of our Academic Leadership Council. So I'll say a little bit more about that shortly. But you can see on the screen here a couple examples of projects that you can find available for free through that webinar series. In addition to the webinar series and to the research and all of the other work we support, we offer a number of awards and scholarships. Now, one that I really want to highlight for this group is the Dr. Guyleen Prue OC Scholarship. This is for students who are doing research in the field of human factors or human behavior related to fire or emergencies. And this year's winner was a PhD student, Erik Smedberg from Lund University in Sweden, for his research related to exit choice and how that's influenced by the presence of people with mobility limitations. So want to highlight that for this audience. This is another $5,000 award, $4,000 of which goes to support the student's research, and $1,000 of which goes to support the student's advisor. In this case, Professor Enrico Ronchi is advising Erik's research, and receives $1,000 in recognition of that effort as well. So please do consider applying for this if this is in your wheelhouse. We offer a number of 4 other awards, 2 of which go to students. One is specific to students who are studying fire and safety science and engineering or related discipline in a developing nation, and one that's available to students at any level all around the world. We also offer probably our most prestigious award is the Arthur B. Guise Medal, which recognizes eminent achievement in the advancement of the science and technology of fire protection engineering. This year, that award went to Professor Albert Simeoni of WPI in the US. And the other professional award that we offer is the Jack Bono Award for Engineering Communication, which is selected by the editors of the Fire Technology Journal. And this year that went to the article Fire Hazard Analysis of Modern Vehicles and Parking Facilities. And finally, I want to share news of a few new initiatives that we've kicked off this year at the Foundation. The first of them is the WUI Working Group and Symposium. The WUI Working Group kicked off earlier this year with a series of planning meetings and now has moved to the working group phase. The goal of the WUI Working Group and Symposium is to identify the role that fire engineering can play in addressing fire and related hazards in the wildland-urban interface. So many of you are probably aware that there are many different stakeholders who are working on addressing the challenge of fire and related hazards in the WUI. But we feel that there is a unique space that fire engineering expertise can contribute. But we don't yet have a good understanding as a field of what the entire scope of those ways that fire engineers can contribute are. And so this effort brings together more than 100 individuals from around the world. We did an open call for folks who wanted to volunteer, and we're still accepting volunteers. So if you do want to be part of this, please do reach out to me. If you're doing fire and evacuation modeling in the WUI, please do reach out. Would be happy to connect you with this initiative. They're identifying practical tools, approaches, resources that are available now. This is really focused on what are people doing now all around the world that we can raise awareness of, make other folks aware of in other parts of the world, and really make sure we're getting as many tools to as many in the hands of people who need them as possible, and identify where we could really invest and come together to collaborate to secure resources and have additional impact in addressing this growing threat. That WUI Working Group is led by co-chairs Albert Simeoni and Alex Marangidis, and it's divided into 3 modules, or sort of 3 sub-working groups: individual asset protection, community notification and evacuation, and community wildland fire protection. Each of those 3 modules is led by a team of co-leads. In each case, we've tried to get representation from around the world, representation both from academics and from practitioners. And I want to flag as module 2 in particular for this audience, which is focused on community notification and evacuation, community exit routes or egress or things like that. Modeling community evacuation is something that's being discussed in these groups. So if you fall into that category, I really strongly encourage you to reach out if you're not already participating and join that working group. We have some other initiatives that are funded through grants from the U.S. government. One of those the main one being the development of a virtual handbook for WUI property fire risk assessment and mitigation. We are working to put engineering-based resources and science into the hands of fire service folks, who are the ones who are often doing property risk assessments in the WUI. And we're working on bringing that engineering-based resource and science to those folks to help them make better assessments when they are evaluating properties in the WUI zone. We're going to be launching that virtual handbook at the SFPE annual conference in October for the first time, and look forward to sharing more details then. And finally, the other major initiative I want to share with you is the Grand Challenges Initiative. This is a 3-year initiative to develop a strategic roadmap for the field. We are looking to develop a 10-year plan in each of the 4 areas that have been selected as Grand Challenge topic focus areas. So I mentioned earlier, the Foundation is really interested in serving as that platform to bring together our partners from academia, from industry, and from nonprofits together to collaborate on areas of shared interest to really move the field forward. This is one of those initiatives. We are really thinking about, in each of these Grand Challenge topics, these topics that are not unique to fire engineering, but where fire engineers can contribute: energy and infrastructure, resilience and sustainability, climate change, digitalization, AI, and cybersecurity. What's the role of fire protection engineering in solving those challenges? And what do we need to do over the next 10 years as a field to prepare ourselves to be able to contribute to those conversations? That might mean investing in research. That might mean breaking down barriers to collaboration. That might mean workforce development, certification, training, et cetera. We want to identify what are those key areas and really start to map out that way forward. We kicked off at the summit at the end of April, and now we have a working group in each of those 4 topic areas. We'll be presenting as part of a breakout track at the SFPE annual conference. We'll be publishing those 10-year plans, those white papers in each area in the middle of next year. And another way that we wanted to involve students in that process is through the GCI Research Fellowship position. So each of the 4 working groups is supported by a GCI fellow with $5,000 US in funding each to support those topics. We can really get folks who are early career researchers involved and moving things forward. Once those white papers are published, those are sort of the implementation guide, the how-to manual for what we want to do over the next 10 years. But rather than just having those sit on a website as a PDF, we'll then spend the last year of the initiative bringing together virtual workshopping sessions where we actually want all the stakeholders in the room that would need to be involved in implementing the steps that have been identified in those white papers and actually starting to take action to put those plans into to make them reality. So again, at the foundation, we are really focused on being a global organization that serves a global audience. And this is one of those initiatives that really does demonstrate that, including, I mentioned those student research fellows. They represent 4 different continents in terms of who's supporting each of those working groups. The students that are part of that work come from Italy, South Africa, the United States, and Hong Kong. So a really global participation there, as well as in the groups themselves. And you can see on this slide our founding partners who are part of the initiative. These are the folks who are participating in the working groups and will be part of those implementation sessions down the line. If you want to be part of the GCI, please do reach out to me. It's not too late. We are early enough in the working group process. You can really be part of making a difference and shaping that future investment. We have a number of partners from Europe, but would encourage others to reach out. We really do want to get you involved. And finally, if you belong to an academic department, please do reach out to me. We have at the foundation an academic leadership council where we have representatives from more than 30 departments around the world that have some program related to fire engineering or fire safety science. And we involve those academic programs in a number of ways in our initiatives. Many of those institutions are part of the Grand Challenges Initiative or the WUI Working Group, but it's also a venue for being able to share and collaborate on issues specifically of interest to academic departments in this field, in the field of fire engineering. So please do reach out to me if you'd like to get involved in that. And then finally, just to sum up everything I've just shared with you, there are many ways to get involved with us today, tomorrow, right now. You could sign up for our e-news brief where we send out notifications about all of the upcoming opportunities we have for funding and so forth, research reports, etc. You can also send us suggestions. If you just had a research publication come out and you want to get it in front of a broader audience, send it, let us know as a suggestion, and we'll see if it's a good fit. You can follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Please share our award, scholarship, and grant opportunities with your networks and apply. We want to fund the incredible work that folks like you are doing, so please do reach out. Check out those recorded webinars and email me to join the Academic Leadership Council, Grand Challenges Initiative, or the WUI Working Group Initiative. And again, if you're able to do so, please consider making a donation to support our work. There are many different ways to do that, but everything I've just shared with you today is made possible by that support that we receive from donors as well as from other granting organizations. So please consider making a donation. My contact information is available on the screen. You can reach me by email at foundation@sfpe.org. I'd be very happy to connect with anyone, share more information about our programs, or find ways that we can work together. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.
Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Hello. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Good. Let me just get signed in here. While I'm doing that, are there any questions for the Research Foundation or Leslie from the room? No? Nobody needs money. They're not interested in research. It's all fine here. So, but I did wonder, do you have a point of contact on the SFPE website or somewhere where like you can find all these links, you know, on your, almost like your last slide that had all the references to LinkedIn, to Facebook? Is there a good place to go on the website to just find where to connect effectively?
Yeah, so if folks are on the SFPE Foundation website, or on the SFPE website, if you look at the top near the URL navigation bar, you'll see Foundation. You can click on that, go to our page. And if you click on About, you'll see a drop-down menu, Meet Foundation Staff. And if you click there, you can find my email address, the email address of the other staff at the foundation. You can also reach me at foundation@sfpe.org directly. I'd be happy to have a conversation.
Okay, great. And then let's see. I think we have, there aren't any unanswered questions in the app either. So with that,
No problem at all.
no questions, then we'll say thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the early connection, and thanks for all the great work with the foundation. All right.
Anytime. Thanks for the invitation.
Yep. Thank you, Leslie. Bye-bye.